So hopefully that will now actually be live streaming, which is kind of a first for me. I mean, you would have thought that, I've been on YouTube forever, I'd have done more live streaming. But no, when actually getting it all set up, I was just spent like hours trying to get the audio synchronized, all sorts of things. And to actually show you what's on the screen here, let's see if I can bring him up. There we go. So that should now be an infrared picture of this guy here. That's the barbecue. That's obviously where it's very hot. So this is filmed with a thermal camera. And this is the actual software that runs the thermal camera, and it's recorded all of the radiometric data from this. Now, when you've got the thermal camera set up, it can only record over certain temperature ranges. There's a limit between when they're getting no photons and when they're maxing out. So that's basically the limit you've got to set. You can put extra filters in there, which basically sort of changes the temperature range. But anyway, so this one I actually had set up from 0 to 250. So this little bar at the bottom here actually is off the bottom for you. You can't see it. But I can change the upper and lower limit on the display. The radiometric data is only recorded from 0 to 250 degrees in this case. But I can display it because I recorded the radiometric data over all sorts of ranges like this. Now, it's actually quite interesting from the beginning. So obviously, at the beginning, if I turn the sensitivity all the way down, you'll actually start to see, oops, wrong way, you'll see, there we go. This guy here, where you can't actually see the cursor, but you see where I'm getting a temperature reading, that's the actual mold. That's the barbecue, and on the barbecue, I've got some molten bismuth. You'll see it. It's there. And so this is actually pouring molten bismuth into a mold, and you see it's actually really reflective. So this is something I've been meaning to try and trying to get around to for ages. You actually see how reflective the metal is, even though it's at bismuth melts about 250 degrees. And even at that, it's very reflective. So the temperature, I know this is above 250 degrees because that's the melting point of bismuth, but it says 75 on the thermal camera. And the reason for that is because it's actually reflecting most of the infrared light. It's not behaving as a black body. And yeah, so metals are just lousy to try to do with thermal cameras. Well, to get accurate readings, you need this emissivity correction. So you can see that in principle, the mold is hotter now than the actual bismuth. It's not. And you see as it sort of solidifies and gets a bit of a crust on it, that crust is a little more matte than it was previously, and so it's a better black body, so it appears hotter. It's not. Anyway, so after that's all actually frozen down or solidified, you get something like this. Now the amazing thing is, you can sort of see it on this, that as it's crystallizing, it doesn't show up very well, but you see this has almost a loaf look to it. It's sort of more like bread than, in fact, you can see this bit here actually sticks up quite a long way. And this is a very interesting property of bismuth that isn't true of many elements, that it actually expands when it crystallizes. So yeah, you actually see it's crystallizing towards the middle there, which is just kind of cool. Anyway, most things, when you heat them up, the molecules vibrate more and the atoms move further apart, which lowers the density. This is why hot air rises. However, when things solidify, you usually cool them down, and so as they cool down, you expect the molecules to get close together and to become more dense. Now, this isn't true with bismuth. When it actually crystallizes, it gets bigger, which means that solid bismuth will actually float in molten bismuth. Same deal with ice. Ice is a very peculiar phase change in the actual solid floats in the liquid. Most of the time it's the other way around. The solid sinks. And because the solid floats in molten bismuth, this allows you to do something rather interesting, which is grow bismuth crystals, which look like that. This isn't actually one of mine, this is just one I bought, but you see, you get these absolutely incredible structures. Now, this is possible for a couple of reasons. First of all, you can get bismuth very pure, relatively cheaply. And secondly, when you get a crystal, it floats to the surface. So you can actually grow these really quite big crystals inside the bismuth, and then you just pull them out, and you get these beautiful crystals, and the color goes all funny when it actually comes in contact with the air. That's the way the sides are all shiny and silvery, and the top is all golden like that. Anyway, so this is just testing out the live streaming, and according to this, there are actually people watching this. That's kind of nice. And, yeah, what do we got? Brexit. Yeah, lots of stuff about metals. Cool, so I mean, the other reason I'm doing this is, as bizarre as it might sound, I've not done much in the way of live streaming. In fact, I've almost never done any live streaming. And who is it? Yeah, this Lauren Southern. Apparently, I was looking at my Twitter this morning. You know, do it occasionally, and apparently she says that, what was it? That me not getting back to her about live streaming meant that I was wrong, which I found fascinating. It's barely a week since I put up the Moriarty video, where what was his thing? That I wouldn't debate him because I was too much of a coward. And everyone was completely happy with the fact that, yeah, actually I'm a fairly busy guy. I don't get to do things like this at the drop of the hat just for people's convenience. And, you know, so it's one of these things I've been meaning to do forever, is actually do some live streaming. Mono audio. Ah, okay. Right, okay. So that's something I'm going to have to sort out for next time. Sorry about the mono audio, okay? That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, so I could actually work out some of the bugs. Yeah, and the other thing, it was kind of nice in many ways that now I am a pariah again. The last time this sort of thing happened was with the atheist community. You know, they had gone too far in one direction, and it was basically anyone who showed even the slightest disagreement about feminism was treated as I wonder if I can actually sort out the left. I'm not so sure I can do anything whilst it's actually streaming. And if I do, I'll probably kill the whole thing. I'll leave it, whatever. Anyway, so, and of course, when the atheist community had become this a very politically correct thing, I was just like, oh, fuck them. Yeah, there comes a point when you've just got to call it like it is. What they thought as reality was just way off to one side. And this is where I was seeing things going with the alt-right, is they're getting way off. I mean, the point where you can actually sort of point to a bunch of anarchists and say, this is what this is what anti-Trump is. I mean, once you're in that sort of league, it's bullshit. If you've got to work that hard to portray someone as the boogeyman, then that's bullshit. Anyway, so coming back, yeah, I don't know. Tell me what you think. Is it actually... Oh, she isn't all right. Well, yeah, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck. Yes, let's not be too picky here. Anyway, so what's your opinion? Should I actually give her live stream? But I was actually thinking about this the other day. If I look a little worse for wear, I tend to go out drinking on Friday night. And I was thinking maybe a sort of quid pro quo thing, you know. Apparently she's hardcore into the climate change denial sort of thing. So, you know, I'll do a stream with, if she comes on and does a stream with me about her wonderful expertise on climate change, I'll go and do a stream with her on whatever she wants. So, yeah, I mean, that seems sort of fairly fair. Anyway, so, Yeah. Let's just see if we actually do something else with this thermal camera whilst we're here. I'm just going to see what else we've got in the way of files here. Oh, lead. Yeah, why not? So this is going to crash. That's kind of annoying. Oh well, there it goes. So we can get that back again. So let's try reopen. I'm pretty sure that is the molten lead. Let's go. Okay, I've got it out, but for some reason it's not coming onto the live stream. It should be there. I'm a bit of a noob at this. I'm sorry. Anyway, so seeing as my OBS is playing silly buggers, and I've not done this many times before, I'm just going to call it quits there. So let me know what you think. Should I engage with Lauren Southern, or should I just get on with whatever I do, which is probably more interesting. So yesterday, just for example, the lakes are all frozen around here. And so I was going out with a 6 kilo hammer. That's about 14 pounds. And obviously, you know, the first thing is how much damage can you actually do to the ice with a hammer that size? And then, of course, I was putting potassium on the end of the hammer and doing the same. And of course, you can get some pretty decent bangs out of that. Yeah, so I've got lots of stuff like that. And there's, oh God, there are so many things to debunk on the pseudoscience side. So there was the, what was it? There was the diamonds, the carbon-14 diamond batteries. There was, oh God, there's a watch that's going to run on body heat, which is, I mean, it's one of these things. They got $1 million just to run the watch on body heat by a sort of Peltier device. There's a device where if it's cold on one side and hot on the other, it actually generates a voltage across the two. And the first thing is, when you put a watch on, there's almost no thermal gradient over it whatsoever. Second, even if there was, you need a fairly big Peltier device to actually do anything with it. Thirdly, there have been auto-winding watches for like 50, 100 years or something, right? The idea that this is a new idea is just crazy. And they were having this, you know, this will save power and all that sort of thing. And it's like, no, it won't. A watch battery will last you for 5 years, and it's got almost no power in it. I mean, there's much more energy in a single bullet than there is in one of these crappy little batteries. In fact, this was an interesting calculation I was doing. The lump hammer, right? You let the lump hammer just fall from about 3 meters. That's basically just having it above your head and just letting it fall onto the ice. Which contains more energy, that or a bullet? And it turns out they're actually very comparable. And it's also one of these things, when you get one of these giant lump hammers in your hand, it's you can see why they were fearsome weapons in battle. And also, it's you get this wonderful feeling of power when you're walking around. All of a sudden, there are no locked doors. Cars seem like little flimsy structures when you've got this giant hammer. Yeah. Anyway, so we have now six people watching this. So on that happy note, I think I'm going to kill the stream. Many thanks for watching, and let me know what you think.